Good evening, everyone. I hope everybody is well and that you can hear me. If any of you can go in the chat and let me know that my sound is good. All right, just waiting for a few more people to come on board here. If you guys can just put in your chat that you're hearing me properly. Perfect. Awesome. So it is 7 o'clock and I would like to start on time. I'm really excited. And I must say that the most exciting part is that it's my first time doing this kind of webinar with this technology, and touch wood, so far so good, all is going well. So my name is Dr. Nathalie Beauchamp, and welcome to our webinar tonight. I'm so excited that you're joining us tonight for this webinar. I have so much content to cover, but first of all, I want to congratulate you really for taking the time on a nice Thursday night to spend time learning about vitamins and how you can make yourself, healthier. Some of you already know me. Some of you may be new, so I'll say a few words about me just a little bit. As some of you know, I'm very passionate about health and wellness, and I've been a chiropractor for 20 years now. And in my 20 years in practice, I've seen a lot of health issues with patients. So I'm passionate about staying very current when it comes to health, and that's why I'm constantly learning as well. Some of you may know I've written a book called Wellness on the Go. I blog. I started blogging, I think, before even blog was popular. I do TV and radio. I just love to share the health and its message. And I also like making people think. So my goal tonight is really to give you some great information, but also to make you think, because I don't want you to take my word for it necessarily, in the sense that go do your own due diligence and make sure that you ask the right questions, because questions are key here. So as I said, I'm constantly learning myself. I'm currently doing my functional medicine course with the Institute of Functional Medicine, and learning tons and tons of information that I'm going to share with you as well tonight. So let's get started. I kind of love this slide because sometimes it's confusing, and there's a lot of information out there. You get up one day and you read in the newspaper that vitamin D is no longer good and calcium is not either, and you're like, okay, what do I believe? What should who should I listen to? So my goal with this tonight is hopefully to shed some light, and like I said, give you some hopefully great tools to do the right things for you. Marketing. This is a great picture of New York City. And if any of you have been there, you know how busy it is. And this is pretty much the amount of information that is thrown at us. And it can be really, really overwhelming. So again, my goal tonight is to help you decipher with all these messages. And what we have to think too is a lot of the messages we're hearing and seeing are from the media, and the media sometimes can be very biased, trying to promote their own products. So if you looked at, let's say, TV with the beauty commercial, the drug commercial, and the food commercials, I mean, it can get numbing sometimes, and you kind of forget to think. And let's start with the food industry. I don't know how many of you know that there's technically 13 companies that own all the food companies out there. And we have to ask ourselves this question: do these companies have our best interest at heart or their bottom line when it comes to being transparent with the label and them accepting to write down if a food is genetically modified and so forth? So I'll let you answer that question yourself here. And then, as I mentioned, the pharmaceutical company, and I always say, it's so much easier to take that magic purple pill that it is to change your lifestyle and make sure you exercise and you eat right and you control your stress. So we do have to take responsibility, and not saying that, you know, sometimes drugs are not necessary, but there's so much that we can do with our lifestyle and the choices that we make. And then the third one that really has a big impact, especially for women, is the fact that we're constantly bombarded with magic lotions and potions to make us look young and feel young and so forth. Yet, you know, we're not talking about all the chemicals that are in there that are oftentimes non-carcinogenic, knowing that the skin, our skin, is the biggest organ in the body that absorbs everything. So pretty scary. I kind of pity my poor husband when he watches TV with me, because watching all these commercials is just, it's hard for me sometimes not to comment. And I don't think I even have to comment now, because he probably knows what's going through my head. This here, love this slide. People are fed by the food industry, which pays no attention to health, and are treated by the health industry, which pays no attention to food. Isn't that a powerful quote? I'll just leave it up there for a few seconds here so you can grasp that. It's almost that that simple. And you know, a big thing, as I mentioned too, is often what we're being sold. So like I said, tonight we're focusing on vitamin, but I really want you to think in your approach. As I mentioned, this can be very confusing, and I'm sure sometimes you feel like that. And it's not always that easy. It's not always as easy as 2 + 2 = 4, but let's try to decipher things a little bit tonight. So my goal is to really guide you on this journey. And just in terms of timeline, I'm planning to be no longer than an hour, and I have a bit of a surprise to give you guys as well. So let's get started. I've put a picture here, and you guys in the comments or in the chat can tell me, what do you think that is? I'll give it a few seconds here so you guys can type in your answers. Just guess. What does that look like? All right, we've got a few answers. Yeah, some of you have it. So these are sadly undigested vitamins that were basically recuperated from the source system. So pretty sad to say that we can ingest some vitamins and basically they go right through our body and they're not being absorbed. So because of that, throughout the years, you know, I've always wonder if the quality of vitamins did matter, and how does one find out. And several years ago, I had the pleasure to meet Dr. Lyle McWilliam, that is basically a PhD doctor, a biochemist, who tested over 1,300 vitamins, multivitamins in the US and in Canada. Now, all vitamins have not been tested, but this is a really good resource to see the quality. And basically, he tested those vitamins on 18 different criterias. And if a vitamin scored high, it would be 5-star out of 5. And if it scored low, it would be, you know, obviously the absorption and all that stuff would be lower. Now, I must say this is, I think, the 4th edition. And most vitamin company have really improved. I remember some companies had 0 absorption or 0 stars, so very, very low absorption. So with Health Canada, we're lucky that you know, they keep a very close watch. So the quality of the vitamin has to be to a certain standard. But what's not so great sometimes is that some of the vitamins are full of fillers and binders. So we don't want those added chemicals in there. And that's why a good vitamin and a good quality is very important. That's why when you can buy higher end, it's really worth it. Now, why multivitamin or why vitamin in general is that the quality of our soil is not what it used to be. I mean, my grandparents were farmer, and I'm assuming they just opened the door and went in the garden and got their vegetables and got their meat and their milk and all of that stuff. But what's happening now is the quality of our soil is not what it used to be. It's very depleted in nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium, and a lot of other trace minerals that are not there as well. So as much as we want to eat well, and which we should do, we're not oftentimes getting the proper nutrients. So let's start with what I like to call the Fantastic Four, and that's literally what I call them at the clinic. I really believe that people should be on those 4 supplements just to cover all of their bases. So the first one is a multivitamin. The second one is omega-3. The third one are probiotics, and the fourth one are vitamins. So I'm going to start with the multivitamin. I've already talked about the fact that the quality of our soil is not good. And also, sadly enough, 60% of our food are genetically modified. And actually, that statistic is a few years old. I'm going to be guessing here that it's probably increased. If we look at soya crops, they're like 80 to 90% genetically modified. So eating organic becomes even more important, because it means no radiation, not chemically altered, and no pesticide. And talking about that, I know sometimes it's not in the budget for everyone to have everything organic, or even at this time of year here in Ottawa, it gets to be tricky. You can see the difference already, but there's a great chart here from the Environmental Working Group of what's called the Dirty Dozen. So if you are not going to have all your food organic, if it's just not in the budget, these are the 12 fruits and vegetables that are really the most contaminated fruits and vegetables. So you really want to buy those organic as often as you can. Omega-3 basically support cardiovascular health, brain, joint, blood sugar metabolism, increased energy, is also very anti-inflammatory. But one thing about the omega-3 is we want to make sure it is high quality, because you don't want to end up with fish that is toxic and has potential mercury or lead. And that's why krill oil is great as well, because it's a smaller fish, so there's less chances of contamination. Daily dosage, 2,000 to 3,000 milligrams daily. And people that have inflammation, that it is arthritis or heart issues and so forth, you can go as far up as 5,000 milligrams. So why omega-3 only is because our North American diets are really high already in 6 and 9, and we're basically having distorted ratio with a very, very low omega-3. So we really do not need to supplement with 6 and 9. We have it in our diet. And that distorted ratio, as I mentioned, is quite important. And if we have too little omega-3, it really throws things off in our body. The third one, probiotics, and I'll talk about it a lot more in detail when we get to the digestive system, but help with digestion, absorption, reduce cholesterol, immune system, benefit the intestinal wall. If people have a lot of bloating, there could be some irritation in the small or large intestine, detoxifying of the liver, and also very important in the production of serotonin. And serotonin is basically our happy hormone. And 80% of the serotonin is coming from our gut. So happy gut, happy brain. It's that simple. So oftentimes, and we'll talk about that when we get to the cognition and emotional health, but it is very important to keep our gut healthy. A few stats on bacteria, just to put things in perspective. Did you know that we have 100 trillion bacteria in our gut? That's a lot. We have 800 species and 7,000 strains. And the bacteria are 100 times greater than the amount of genes we have in our body. So it's incredible. So basically, we're 1/10 human and 9/10 bacteria. it's almost a bit of a wonder who's hosting who here, if we're basically a vehicle for those bacteria, or are they there for us. So, but that being said, we want to live in very symbiotically with these guys, because they're there for us, and they're there to you know, absorb our food, and are very important in our immune system. Now, some of you may have heard basically the word prebiotics, and probably wondering what it is. But prebiotics are typically non-digestible fibers that passes undigested through the upper part of the GI tract and stimulate the growth of those good bacteria that I was talking about. And prebiotics can be ingested with food. So we're looking at the picture here: artichoke, onion, garlic, asparagus, flaxseed, berries. So what these food do is that they're non-digestible fiber, and they'll be feeding those good bacteria to keep them healthy and happy. Unless somebody's got some major gut issues, you may want to consider a supplement of prebiotic, but otherwise, I think, you know, getting it from our diet is definitely good enough. Then when it comes to the probiotic strain, again, just to get, you know, this out of the way, yogurt is not enough. I think I've read somewhere that you would need like 20 yogurts to have the equivalent in terms of life culture of what's in a good probiotic. And one of the reasons with yogurt is that the pasteurization process has killed a lot of the enzyme and that we need to digest the dairy product, but has also killed a lot of the life culture. So here you can see that there's a bunch of them in there, but the main two are Bifidobacterium and the Lactobacillus, and then the last one, the Saccharomyces boulardii, is there often when people need extra and their gut are not great. Just getting a comment here from Jackie. Yes, thanks, Jackie. Fermented food is great. So sauerkraut as a prebiotic for sure, but also as a probiotic. So I think you can count them almost as a pre and as a post. Kefir, kombucha are all fermented, and you can do your own fermented vegetables as well. So it's just a little bit more work, and most people won't go to that extent, but for sure. Jackie is having a hard time spelling sauerkraut, but the sad part, Jackie, is I understood exactly what you meant. There goes our French brain on that one. So for the probiotics, the idea here is that the more strains we have, you know, you've heard me, we've got over 7,000 strains. So the more strains there are in a probiotic, the better it is, because you're going to make more of those bacteria happy. So again, really believe that everybody should be taking a probiotic, at least one a day for sure. And then if you have issue, it could be even more than that. And I'll discuss the GI system in a little bit more detail. Jackie's asking, what if a person has Candida? One more reason to be on probiotic, because Candida basically is outgrowing of the bad bacteria. So you really want to rebalance the gut so the body can deal with the good versus the bad. And the fourth one is vitamin D. I wish we were in Florida, but most of us, I do believe, are in Ottawa. So there's not a lot of sun. And even in North America as a whole, 85% of people are deficient. Of course, it's better to get vitamin D directly from the sun, but it's not always possible. So we do need to supplement. We also have to be careful with sunscreen, because we've gone crazy at blocking the sun, but yet there's more cancer created with a vitamin D deficiency than with skin cancer. Not saying that, you know, you shouldn't protect yourself to a certain extent, but we've gone overboard, and now, you know, we're blocking ourselves from absorbing that. And a side note here with the sunscreen, that if you don't watch what brand you're buying, you're basically, you know, dipping yourself into chemicals that are just being absorbed through your body. Health Canada is recommending 1 international unit, but what I'm going to say is get tested, because 1 international unit will not be enough if you're deficient. And if you look at this chart, if you look at the color red, this is the test results of one of my patients. Red is severe deficiency. Then we've got mild to moderate, and then we've got optimal. So this patient was an optimal at 138, but a lot of people are in the low 25 and 80. And even if it's mild deficiency, we don't want to be in deficit here. We really want to be in the optimal range. So that being said, if somebody is really low, they may need to go on 10,000 international unit for a month or two, get tested again, and see if they have replenished basically their storage. So it's a non-expensive. Unfortunately, it's not always cover. I know we have a few people from the States here, so the healthcare system is a bit different, but regardless, it is a good investment in your health to see if you're deficient. Best time to do it is right after the summer, when your reserve should be full, so it gives you a good idea where you're at. And if you're taking a test and then you're already deficient at the end of August, you know that you're deficient and you need to replenish. So these were the fantastic 4, as I said, and now we're going to dig quite a bit deeper. So really excited about something. I've been working on this survey for, months. So I'll tell you how I got started on this, I say survey, but it's a questionnaire. So last January at my Health and Wellness Expo that I organized, I had the pleasure of having Lorna Vanderhaeg as a speaker. She did an amazing presentation on hormones, and she has a lot of great products. So it was a great talk. And then the following week, my patients were coming in for their visits, and they were saying, wow, it was a great talk, but I have all the symptoms that she's talking about. So where do I start? How do I know which one to start with? So I just kind of, sat with me, and I'm like, geez, I've got to find a solution. So what I did is I created a weighted questionnaire with 100 questions that will tell you or tell the person what systems are not working properly, or what major vitamins might be deficient. Now, this is not obviously an exact science, but some vitamins are easier than others to detect in terms of deficiency. So I created this, this pretty fancy questionnaire, which I've launched about 2 weeks ago, but I kept it really quiet because I wanted to officially launch it here, and I'll give you the link in a few towards the end of the presentation. But basically, when you do the questionnaire, this is what you get as your result. So as you can see, these are the results of one of my patients who did it. So her issues were intestinal, then we're going at emotional, digestive, and then the closest one after that is blood sugar. So it gives her an idea what she should start with. So obviously intestinal is huge for her, so she needs to address that, and the gut being so important, and you'll see in a second. So what I'd like to do for the rest of this time is quickly go over those 18 criteria. I could probably do an hour on each of those topics, and I might at some point, but tonight I just want to give you an overview and talk to you about some of the symptoms that, these systems or these lack of vitamins may trigger in you, and you might go, oh, geez, that makes sense kind of thing. So let's get started, because we've got a lot of stuff to cover. Loved, isn't he a cute kid? So let's start with the adrenal gland, because they are very important. So the adrenal gland are basically a small triangular shape. They are small triangular shapes gland right over our kidneys. And what they do basically, they are our stress, organ, if you want, in the sense that they will produce cortisol and epinephrine and so forth. And what happens is that when we're stressed, our cortisol, goes up and down and is a little bit all over the place. So how would one know that they have adrenal issues, a big thing is waking up ready to go at about 2 or 3 in the morning is a telltale sign, and craving salt as well. We have also poor concentration, even hot flashes. A lot of women that are nowhere near menopause will say that they have hot flashes. So this gland is so important because as we head, especially as women, to a later stage in our life, premenopause or menopause, if our adrenal glands are tired, well, we're in trouble, because the adrenal glands need to kick in when our estrogen and progesterone are going to decrease as we age. So you can think that, if you got a woman that in her 30s or 40s just went go, adrenal right down to the floor, and then boom, premenopause, and the adrenals are already tired, it's not going to be a good scenario. So just to go back to the cortisol, basically why would someone get up at 2 o'clock in the morning or 3 o'clock in the morning ready to go is that in the morning, our cortisol is supposed to be high, so we wake up and we're refreshed. And as the day goes, our cortisol level goes down, and around 8 or 9 it should be really low, so we can go to bed and get some sleep, and in the morning it'll be trigger. But with the adrenals not working properly, the cortisol starts shooting back up at around 2 or 3 in the morning. So the adrenals are very important. Again, that I mentioned the sign and symptom that people experience, and there's some really great herbs like ashwagandha, rhodiola, suma, or schisenda berries that are very helpful for adrenal gland. Again, I talked about Lorna van der Haag a bit earlier. I will mention some of her products because she's got an amazing line that I think she's really come up with good option for a combination of supplements and herbs for a lot of things. So she has one that's called Adrenal Smart, that is really amazing. You take 2 in the afternoon or at about 2 o'clock, and it helps you balance your cortisol so you can go to sleep at night. The second one we're going to jump to is the digestive system. So, we're going to connect the stomach and the gut together because we can't really disconnect them. But a lot of people are having heartburn or GERD, reflux and all of that stuff. And they get on antacid medication, and, it sounds counterintuitive to say, but those antacids are, trying to stop the acid in the stomach. And oftentimes, believe it or not, is these people are not producing enough acid, and then proteins are being digested quite a bit in the stomach and so forth. So not having enough hydrochloric acid in an acidic environment to break down the food properly is not triggering the digestion. So we need the protease to digest the protein, the amylase to digest the carbs, and the lipase to digest the fat. So there's a whole bunch of enzymes that are required to digest that. So there's great digestive enzyme on the market. There are also one with betaine when a person's hydrochloric acid might be too low. So if you're having pain right underneath your breastbone right after you eat, there's something wrong with your stomach, or if you're having heartburn and so forth. So again, the conventional route will go right to antacid, and sometimes it's completely the opposite things that you need to do. So digestive enzyme can be consumed when you eat. I always tell patients, just keep them in your purse, so this way you have them with you. Now, if we move on to the gut, I've talked about it with the probiotic, but I cannot emphasize how important the gut is for overall health and immune system and so forth. And a lot of people now are being diagnosed with irritable bowel syndrome, kind of a garbage can category to say, okay, your gut's irritated, we don't know what's going on, just learn to live with it and so forth. So don't take that as an answer. When your stomach is upset or your gut is upset, we need to find the cause, because it's too important of a system to ignore it. So there's tons of great elimination diet. You can do food sensitivity tests to try to simplify it. It is work, and when people have had irritation for years and years, we cannot think we're going to heal the gut in like 2 weeks and you're ready to go. But there are also supplements like L-glutamine that will help to heal as well. But just to say that if you're not eliminating every day, having a bowel movement every day, something's not right, and we need to find out why. The other organ that can show in abnormal function is the liver. The liver is a big organ that produces the bile, detoxify all the chemicals that are going through us, drugs, breakdown of amino acid, production of cholesterol. I mean, it's such an important organ, and unfortunately, oftentimes, people develop what is called a fatty liver, and then, obviously, it's not just with the chemicals, but with the diet and the sugar as well, which we'll talk in a little bit. Now, detox, I think, needs to be taken seriously. I'm all about some of the food detox. I think they're great to do. But if somebody's going to do a detox with supplements, first of all, we need to make sure that the gut is working properly, because if you detox your liver, but you're all jammed up in your bowel, you're not going to eliminate properly, or if your kidneys are not flushing, if your lymphatic system is not flushing. So doing a detox needs to be taken seriously when it's come to supplements. So make sure that you don't buy a cheap kit and do it in a non-safe manner. But I strongly believe that doing a detox once or twice a year when it comes to the liver or even your GI is very, very important. All right, another gland that is very important, and me being French, get teased quite often, thyroid. It seems to be hard for me to pronounce the H for some reason. But the thyroid is a little butterfly-shaped gland just in front of our neck, and it's responsible for so many things. Obviously making the thyroid hormone, the T4 and the T3, which is the active form. And what would be the symptom if somebody's having issues? Fatigued a lot, losing your hair, being cold all the time. These are the three, dry skin as well. Brain fog is another big one as well. So you can see how those symptoms can go to a multitude of different things, right? And that's why I created that survey, because it helps you decipher which one it is. So the thyroid is a very small gland, but very, very important. And oftentimes people will have symptoms, they'll go get checked, and blood test supposedly comes back normal. Couple thing here that I need to point out is the regular blood test only tests for TSH. And when it comes back normal, their parameter is quite high, actually. And we really should have more of a TSH of 2 or less. And the normal, I believe, they would say right up to 5 or 6, which is too high. So all that to say that if you're having those symptoms and you're not getting answers with tests or what have you, they're probably not doing the full thyroid panel to test the T4, the T3, the reverse, even the antibodies as well, because some people end up with autoimmune disease. So your thyroid can go hyper or it can go hypo. Hyper, people will tend to lose weight and not be able to keep the weight. And hypo, that's another big symptom, is that people cannot, for the life of them, lose their weight. So Lorna also has a supplement called Thyroid Smarts, which has some herbs like ashwagandha, but it has L-tyrosine, copper, iodine, and manganese, which are minerals that will help support the thyroid. But just to backtrack a little bit to the adrenal, when it comes to hormones, I'm not sure if all of you realize that, but all of our hormones starts with what? cholesterol. Okay, so we've been trying to, I'll talk about that when we get to the heart, but we've been trying to decrease cholesterol, but yet most of our hormones, or all of our hormones, starts with cholesterol as a precursor. And that being said, adrenal, when they're tired, they can do what is called adrenal steal. They go steal for the thyroid, for the progesterone, and for the estrogen. So sometimes people have more of an adrenal issues that's going to steal the precursor needed to fabricate those thyroid hormones or that progesterone or that estrogen. So again, you gotta look at all the organs because they all work together. The next one that we have here that if some of you have been to a chiropractor, which I hope all of you have, is the importance of the nervous system. So we have to remember that the brain sends a signal to every organ in our body through our spinal nerves. And I love this picture here because basically what creates what we call subluxation or interference in terms of communication, and it could be physical stress, it could be psychological stress, or even biochemical stress. And what happens if your panel trips like this picture, the signal's not sent properly. And just today, actually, I had a patient which, oh my goodness, she came because her personal trainer begged her to come, but man, oh man, she didn't want to go see a chiropractor. So I had to, as I say, turn on the charm and try to really explain things to her. But that being said, I adjusted her, I think it was a few days ago, and then she came in and she's like, I have to tell you, she said, I've had bladder problems for many years. Is that possible that whatever you did helped? And then, sure enough, the nerves that were being, there was miscommunication in those nerves were going to her bladder. So, I mean, she was, shocked of that relationship. So we can't think that if the communication between the brain and the body is not happening, that any organs will have proper function. So I always say you can eat well, exercise, control your stress, but if your nervous system is not turned on properly, you're just not going to be functioning to your full potential. So it's that essential. The other one that is really essential as well is sleep. Not sure if you guys knew that statistic, but 3.3 million Canadian over the age of 15 are suffering from insomnia. So that is about 1 person in every 7. So it's very common. And I always say, sleep is not like a bank account. You can't sleep for 12 hours on the weekend and then, kind of pile up your sleep and then you're good to go. It is so important because this is when we're just like a computer. This is when you reboot. And that, you balance your growth hormone, your cortisol, and give your body a chance to really, really recuperate. So it's not something that we can cut short on. And a lot can be done with lifestyle. And you guys are going to get access to landing page of all the details of all that stuff when you do the survey. But bottom line, we have to look at what I call our sleep hygiene. Are we watching TV before you go to bed and you're bombarded by electromagnetic field and bad news about this war and that and so forth? There's so many things that you can do to make sure that you get a good night of sleep. But in the occurrence that you're not being able to sleep, you got to check your adrenal gland, like I was saying, to make sure that it is well balanced. And there are some great natural support, like most people will know of the melatonin, valerian, hops, passion flower, chamomile are always good as well. So again, Lorna has a supplement called Sleep Smart that encompass most of these things. So it's a great alternative. Not the first thing that I would go for, even though melatonin is natural, but look at your sleep hygiene to make sure that you're doing the right thing and giving yourself time to wind down at night. Then another big important one is cognitive health. And sadly, it's estimated that 747,000 Canadian are living with cognitive impairment, including dementia and Alzheimer in 2011. So these stats are pretty high. It's 14.9% of Canadians 65 years old and older. So there's a lot going on here, and I really think that a big component of this is because of increased inflammation. There is a gut-brain relationship here that I think is huge and is being spoken a lot more about. It's not that it's new, but it's now becoming a little bit more mainstream. And what I mean by inflammation is that, it could be your lifestyle in terms of your diet and, too high in sugar and grains, and all of those will create inflammation, and it will inflame, some of the organs below the neck, but it will cross the blood-brain barrier and create some inflammation. A great book to read. Dr. Daniel Amen has several books actually on the brain. Fascinating. Even has a great questionnaire that you can do specifically on that. So great resource there. Next year we have blood sugar, and another, I seem like I'm saying this to all of them, another important one, but blood sugar is so important. The statistic for diabetes now are crazy. Type 2 diabetes is one of the fastest growing disease in Canada, with more than 60,000 new cases every year. So 9 out of 10 people have the type 2 diabetes. And sadly enough, the type 2, well, sadly or not sadly enough, type 2 diabetes can be prevented by proper lifestyle and can be even reversed. So there's a lot that we can do, but you don't want to wait until you stressed your pancreas so much that you're having issues. So it's very important to stabilize your blood sugar and not have your insulin going up and down and up and down. And I think a big thing that happened is that we went from a low-fat diet about 10 years ago, cut the fat, cut the fat, cut the fat. And what did we turn to? Well, more processed food and then more sugar. Now, I'm not saying that, a few fruits a day is not a good thing, but we're talking about this processed sugar that's everywhere. And oftentimes I ask patients, oh, do you eat sugar? It's like, oh, no, I don't have a sweet tooth. I don't eat sugar. But people have to realize that 2 slices of whole wheat bread still is a teaspoon of sugar. So sugar is pretty much everywhere. So we have to be really careful with that. And Pure has a supplement called Glucose Support, and Lorna also has a supplement called Glucose Support. And the idea with that is to help balance your blood sugar as soon as possible when you eat, and if you're having issues, so your pancreas doesn't become over stressed. So again, we've gone on the sugar bandwagon, and unfortunately a lot more people are now turning to be diabetic, and again, we're talking about inflammation. Now, cardiovascular, I talked about cholesterol, and unfortunately, like I said, the medical world is stuck on decreasing cholesterol level, and cholesterol is not really the issue. It's the oxidation of the cholesterol that is the issue. And what I mean by oxidation is the inflammation and basically of the cholesterol, and it basically oxidizes, and that's what's creating the issue. So the key again is to decrease the inflammation everywhere in our body with the food and with some natural anti-inflammatory to prevent those inflammatory disease. Because arthritis is inflammatory disease, cardiovascular disease is inflammatory, cancer is inflammatory. Most lifestyle chronic illnesses are inflammatory in nature. And unfortunately, a lot of the people are being put on statin, and especially for women, I really urge you, if you're on statin, to really think that, and if you are on statin drug, to really make sure that you're taking a CoQ10 because a supplement, because the statin drugs will really deplete that and it can be very dangerous. But again, for women, we need, not just for women, but we need cholesterol to be able to produce the hormones that we need. So to me, a decent cholesterol level and a decreased inflammation, a person is in good shape. An increased cholesterol level and an increase in inflammation, and there's other markers in blood tests like C-reactive protein or several others that can be measured to see if you have inflammation. All right, the next one here is estrogen, which I think a lot of people are familiar with. I'm not going to go into the whole hormone thing because, like I said, I can do a whole presentation on this. But what I will do, though, is focus on why we are bombarded more with estrogen than we've ever been. So they're called Xenoestrogen. They basically are estrogen mimicker, and they're found in plastic, in cosmetic, in pesticide, in our dry cleaning, in our dairy products, unfortunately. So we're constantly bombarded by those mimickers of estrogen that will go, and it's like kind of a lock and key, and they're going to go take the place of the estrogen and really create havoc in our hormones. And what are the symptoms of estrogen dominance? A whole bunch of things: fibrocystic breast, irritability, loss of sex drive, period problem, fluid retention, endometriosis, fatigue, uterine fibroid, depression, PMS, memory loss, and weight gain. I mean, that's a lot of symptoms, and that's a lot of symptoms that a lot of people will say, well, geez, that's me. And even if you don't have them all, a lot of women will have that. So what do we do? Well, first of all, we need to rethink our plastic, our cosmetic, and what we eat. And there's a lot that we can do with some of the choices that we make every day. There's some food as well that are helpful, like broccoli, cauliflower, and kale. They're cruciferous food because they're high in things that will go in and basically absorb some of the extra estrogen. Lorna has created a product called Astro Smart with endol 3-carbinol, green tea extract, curcumin, dim, rosemary extract, and sulforaphane, and it's amazing. And I really believe every woman should be on that, because you look at those symptoms, and I would say it's every woman in my practice that has this. So it's such an amazing supplement to make sure that we're not baiting ourselves basically in extra estrogen. And when she also has Astro Smart Plus, which has Vitex and zinc as well for people that have even more issues. So as you can see, the estrogen dominance, and our poor guys here, they're also bombarded by estrogen. I mean, sadly enough, you look at some teenage boys sometime and you see them with breasts. I mean, mind you, there's a bit of obesity there as well, but you have to think that they're bombarded by estrogen as well. All right, the next one here. All right. So the next one that we have here is emotional stress. And this one, I know it sounds cliche, and we all know that we need to control our stress, but I cannot tell you how important it is. And again, I go back to that serotonin, which is our happy hormone that is produced 80% in our gut. You can see why I say healthy gut, healthy brain. And there are some neurotransmitters that need to be balanced when it comes to dopamine, to GABA, which is a neurotransmitter that helps to calm us down and so forth. So Douglas Lab has a great line of product, 4 of them really, actually. One's called Brain Calm, one's called Brain Mood, one's called Brain Energy, and one's called Brain Memory. So depending on the symptoms, They're all natural substances to help you balance your neurotransmitter. Now, is it the first thing that you should do if you're, feeling down? And there's also, some 5-HTP and some GABA and some of them, depending if you're feeling anxious versus if you're feeling depressed. It's not the first thing that you want to do. First, you need to clean your diet as best as you can. Exercise, take your fish oil, take your the supplements and so forth. But if you've done all that and you've looked at your adrenals, you look at all that, then do know that there are some natural supplements that you don't have to jump in and to prescription antidepressant or SSRI that are pretty hard on the body and also hard to get off of when you do decide to get off. So there are some great alternative to that. But again, it's not the first thing that you should jump in. The next one that we have that's very common is magnesium, deficiency in magnesium. So what are the symptoms? Well, a lot of muscle cramping, heart palpitation, loss of appetite, fatigue, numbness, and tingling. These are the main symptom. And also, believe it or not, magnesium will help you sleep as well. So magnesium bisglycinate is the best form to get it from. And again, Lorna has a great, actually she's got a couple products, the magnesium biglycinate on its own, but she also has one called Smart that has a few other things. So really, if you're not sleeping great and you're feeling like that restlessness or restless leg syndrome, as they call it, I think it's important that you consider that, and it can make a huge difference. I'm seeing great question popping out, so that's great. Keep them coming. What I'll do is I'll go over them in a second. Now, magnesium you can get through your food. So what are the food high in magnesium? Spinach, seaweed, basil, flaxseed, pumpkin and sunflower seed, almonds, avocado, which I love. So again, I'm not saying that you have to take supplements, and you just have to pay a lot more attention to your food and know what they're rich in or not. The next one I've already talked about, the essential fatty acid and especially the omega-3. So I'm going to skip through this one. Last thing, I guess one thing that I want to talk about is sometimes people don't want to do fish. And yeah, you can do flax, but you would need a lot more flax than if you were taking it in a fish oil format. And sometimes people don't have the enzyme that does the conversion very well, so they don't end up, supplying their body with enough omega-3. Krill oil is obviously great, but there's also some vegan alternative which are more algae based and so forth. So there are always alternative when it comes to that. The next one are the B vitamins, and there's B1 to B12. I'm not going to go through everything, but basically do know that the B vitamins are basically helping you with your energy, very, very important. And I think the ones that are more known are probably the folic acid that, we always suggest to pregnant women to take, but also the B12, because a lot of people are deficient. But if I go back to the stomach where we started, if we don't produce enough stomach acid, the B12 will not be absorbed properly. The digestion won't be absorbed properly. So when I hear people that are deficient either in B12 or iron and so forth, yeah, we need to take that seriously. But, I would go back to their digestive system. Why are things not being absorbed properly? So you need to look at the why first before, you start. It's one thing to increase your iron level and your B12 level, but if your body is not absorbing it, you really need to address that component. The next one is the immune system, and kind of apropos, knowing that it's what is called flu season. So how do we keep our immune system nice and strong? Well, probiotic being a big one, fish oil, vitamin D, and vitamin C Of course, there's other herbs that will help that. And also L-glutamine, which is really good for healing the gut, but it's also a really awesome tool for increasing immune system. Again, I think we've gone crazy here with the antiseptic soap and all of that stuff. We do need to be exposed to germs through our lives to build our immune system and make sure that we can deal with the little infections or the little invasion. So when there's a bigger one, the body knows how to deal with. Yeah, it sucks to have a cold, but guess what? You rest and you take your vitamins and it goes away. I always remember this kind of sentence that I've heard before. Well, it's kind of a question. It said, how long does a cold last without medication? With medication, and the answer was 1 week. And how long does a cold last without medication? And the answer is 7 days, meaning pretty much the same thing. Your body just have to be able to deal with it. All right, I'm getting a lot of questions, so that's great. So I can't wait to answer them. So a couple more here. So the last one, the second last one that I have here is iron, which I already mentioned. What are the foods rich in iron? Well, sorry for the vegetarian, because it's a lot in meat, lean beef, chicken, turkey, liver, lentils, and beans. But also in beets, cabbage, obviously greens of all kind, but in lesser format, lesser quantity, I should say, and some of the fish, the shellfish, and the oyster. So if someone is vegetarian, they really have to pay attention and make sure that they're getting the right amount. So get your level of serum ferritin measured, and you should be between 20 and 80, if not even a bit higher than that. If you're below 20, you're not going to be feeling too great. And weakness, kind of getting out of breath, just going upstairs because the oxygen and the red blood cell are just not working properly, will give you dizziness, hair loss as well, brittle nails, and heart palpitation. So you can see again how some of the symptoms of certain deficiency or malfunction of any system will be mimicking each other. And we're going to finish, these 18 categories with the last one. And I don't know if anybody counted the amount of time I said the word inflammation, but I'm guessing I've said it about 25 times. This is how important. And again, just to reiterate so you understand, so inflammation in the body is a natural response, but to infection, injury, and stress. So in an acute kind of setting, you cut yourself, you need inflammation to heal that wound. If you injure or break a bone, you need inflammation to heal, your bone. What we're talking here is chronic inflammation that we have for long periods of time, that it is from our food that we're ingesting, there are stressor chemicals or any imbalances that we have in the body. So that's why it's so crucial to avoid diets that are high in grains, fried food, the sugar, the trans fat, the dairy product, the gluten, the alcohol, or too much caffeine, and all of that stuff. And some great natural anti-inflammatory, I go back to the fish oil in mega quantity, can really help. There's curcumin as well that you can take, either in your food or in capsule. There's resveratrol as well, that is a really high anti-inflammation and antioxidant as well. So I think you can see the point here that there's a lot that we can do with that diet. So here's my little cartoon here. So again, I know we talked about vitamin and supplement, but I love this quote, and I want to remind you of this. Let your food be your medicine first thing to do. And some of you know me, know that I don't like cooking. And to me, it's not a pleasurable thing, but I know how important my choices in food are to my body. It's fuel. And I always say, if you drive a diesel and you're putting in regular gas, it's not going to go too well, is it? And vice versa. So you're going to feel as good as the foods that you're putting in your body. And that's why it's so important that you go with that first. So a bit of a disclaimer in terms of the survey. Like I said, it's it's to guide you and hopefully enlighten you, because I tossed a whole bunch of symptoms at you. And you're probably wondering, geez, do I have an iron deficiency? Do I have this? This is the questionnaire, the 100 question, which shouldn't take you more than 10 minutes to do, is there to guide you and point you in the right direction of what system might not be doing what they're supposed to do. Very important to get your blood tested. But again, the basic blood tests do not test everything. And that's why I'm a big fan of naturopathic doctors, because first of all, they can request blood tests, very extensive one as well. Unfortunately, not always covered through your insurance, but well worth it, because they will look for the right panel. Blood is an important thing, but just with clinical symptoms, oftentimes your health practitioner that has a more holistic approach can really help you with that. So here's the link to the questionnaire. It's myhealthdetective.ca, and please go and do it. And I can't wait to hear from you how you're liking it. So you're going to do it. You're going to get the results emailed right away to you, and then you'll get access to a landing page that give you supplement, obviously, options, but also lifestyle options. So if sleep is your number one, well, guess what? I will give you a lot of recommendation of what you can do for sleep. And before I finish, I just want to tease you guys a little bit. Some of you know that I do have already an online coaching program called Roadmap to Wellness University. But for the past few months, I have been revamping Roadmap to Wellness and calling it actually a university. I'm adding modules on hormones. I'm adding module on gastrointestinal. I'm adding a module on the brain. And it's going to be more video, also some great content, written content, but more video and more fun and interactive as well. We'll be having some little quizzes, and you can even write your Roadmap to Wellness University qualification at the end with, not quite done with all the questions, but it'll be 100 questions, and you'll be getting your Roadmap to Wellness University certification when you've done it. As I mentioned at the beginning, I am doing my functional medicine course, so learning tons going through this, and that's what I'm pouring in to Roadmap to Wellness University to share with you and give you the tools that you need. I'm planning on launching that in January, at the latest in February, so you'll be the first one to know when that's happening. And it's really cool because when you sign up, you got your own username and password to log in. You can go in at your own time. I know some people do a module a week. Some people do, a module a day. Some people do a module a month. So everybody's a bit at this different speed, but I can guarantee you that I'm deciphering a lot of that information and teaching you, again, to think for yourself and to ask questions. Because I always say to patients, when somebody comes in, if they're 45 years old, they've lived with their bodies for 45 years. So who better know their body than themselves? So when something's not right. And sometimes they're minor little things, and you can't just blame it on age. You really need to listen to your body. And on top of that, sometimes we don't always feel things, but I think it's really important that you listen to yourself and you ask the questions. And if you're asking a question, you're not getting any answer, just keep asking the question, because to somebody different, because you want to be able to find the solution. Whew. Hey, I'm an hour on the dot here, so I have a few questions. And then feel free to fire out some more. Marie's asking me, she's feeling really bloated and has a lot of gas and a little bit of constipation. You're taking the Pure Encapsulation Probiotics 50. Perfect. Can stress slow you down? Yes. So great. Pure Encapsulation is a great brand. I do carry them at the office. They're awesome. What I would recommend is looking at your digestive enzyme. So maybe on top of that, your stomach needs a little bit of help. So you may want to take either a vegetarian enzyme or a betaine enzyme to help you digest your food, and then make sure that you have enough fiber in your diet as well, because it's one thing to have probiotics, but if we're not giving those prebiotics and those undigestible fiber to make the bowel eliminate, we're not helping each other. Ourselves, not each other. Sorry, reading question and doing that at the same time. Then I have a recommendation of these 4 vitamins for teen, such as a 16-year-old boy. Yes, indeed, Lise, I would definitely do that. So great question, and I'll even go with younger kids than that. There's great multivitamins with Douglas and Pure as well. Xenoestrogen, Metagenic, these are all good brands. If the kids are that young, you can do chewable, but not the Flintstones or anything like this, because obviously there's not much nutrients in there. So a good multi, and then probiotic, especially if a child has any signs of allergies and asthma, tension issues, that their bowels are not working properly. I think kids can definitely be on probiotics, and especially in the winter as well, when they're exposed to a whole bunch of different things. So I think Pure has one. It's called Probiotic 123, and it's powder, so it's easy for the kids to ingest. You can hide it in their food and they don't even know. And you can take that as soon as the age of 1. Lorraine here. Oh my goodness, that was awesome. Thank you, Lorraine. Thank you. And INL is asking me about omega-7. Oh, that's a good question, INL. And I have to say that I haven't done a lot of reading and research on omega-7. I will, though, because I love when people challenge me and ask me questions. So I'll look that one up a little bit more for you. But I think regardless of if we go ahead with ingesting that, we're still, that ratio of omega-3 is still very distorted, and people do need to supplement with the omega-3s. All right. Perfect. So I wanted to do it right under an hour, and I'm not too far. I'm going to give it a couple seconds here because the questions are coming in a little bit at delay, and I want to make sure that everybody asks their question. Some people are already signed up. Hopefully they're doing the survey. So I'll wait a few more minutes. And also, too, guys that are still on, if there any area that I covered that you want me to go more in details, please just put it in the chat, because I'm planning on doing those webinars at least once or twice a month. And as you can tell, it's not the content missing, but I'd love to know what you guys would like more of. For instance, hormone presentation, more of a digestion presentation. I mean, there's a lot of topic that we can cover. I also have access to great meal plans with the Functional Institute of Medicine, and this is something that I can easily share with you. So let me know or send me a quick email, because I want to do stuff where you guys are having some challenges, to make sure that we cover that. So I'll stay on just a few minutes. Thanks, guys, for the feedback. It's always kind of funny when you talk to yourself, but perfect. So I will sign off, and I believe you're going to get the replay of this as well. So if you want to review, but I'll let you be. Have a great Thursday evening and go do that survey. The link again is my healthdetective.ca. Thanks a lot, guys, for coming on, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.